Hey guys, this is Caroline Onyedima, the expert strategist. And, you know, guys, I know so many of you were, avidly, expectantly waiting for the Babyface versus Teddy Riley IG battle that happened last night, which was, what was last night, right? So it happened last night, Saturday night. And guys, if you're anything like me, I'm a big Teddy Riley and Babyface fan. I had been looking forward to this online battle for ages. I told all my friends out about it. I had my special outfit on, I had a drink in hand, and I was just waiting for it to land. So excited because, if you're grown like me, you'll know that those songs that they have produced, written, performed, just take you back to a time, great times, right? I mean, who hasn't fallen in love to a Babyface song, or danced all night to swing beat in a club? If you're my age, I guess. I know you young guys out there might not know anything about it, but these two musical icons just mean so much to the culture and the community. And I was just so excited that they were going to do this battle, right? Like everyone else was around me. So as you know, well, as many people know by now, because the whole of Black Twitter and Facebook, Instagram is on fire with memes and jokes about the botched battle that happened last night. And I'm not going to go through all the details of what happened. If you were on there, well, let me quickly run through what happened, right? So around 9 o'clock EST, everybody came online. And between 9 and 10, they were having so many technical difficulties, which were mostly coming from Teddy Riley's side. The audio was crappy. They had this annoying echo every time Teddy Riley spoke or he played his tunes. He had all this equipment out there. And, IG Live, if you're in this online world, if you're an online business entrepreneur, you'll know that, we do live all the time, right? This is what we do. And there's a certain art and science to it, right? So less is more. And Teddy didn't get that memo, and he had a lot of stuff, or maybe he got a memo, but he had a reason for having a lot of equipment, but it didn't lend well to that environment, which was on Instagram Live, and they had lots of problems, right? So we were all online, the comments were going crazy, celebrities were logged on, the comments were hilarious. I just want to say this. Right? There's been a lot of dragging online about this situation, but we have to just take things with a pinch of salt. These are two legendary producer performers, right? They've given so much to the culture, right? They're professionals, right? They're successful businessmen that have made millions and possibly billions of dollars for their artists in sales. The visibility is crazy, and their careers are just long standing, right? They're not one-hit wonders. And so, I just feel that I'm here to learn a lot from what happened, rather than to point fingers and to blame people, but also to partake in the humor of it all, because it was a really epic moment and it was a great event, and a lot of things went wrong, but a lot of fun was to be had, right? And so I'm here to talk about, there's about 19 business lessons that I gleaned from watching that online battle. And I'm going to share my takeaways with you, because here's the thing. Whenever mistakes happen in business or an online event, or when you're launching something, there's a lesson to be learned. And those lessons will help to bulletproof your business in the future. So instead of us just sniggering and giggling about it and really not taking away something from it, let's make sure that as we're having fun, sure they're going to get it right. And, we just got to put some respect on their name, right? Who hasn't had a technical faux pas? Who hasn't had a technical hitch? If you're launching, if you're in business, if you run any kind of webinars or sales funnel, what can go wrong will probably go wrong, and we've all gone through that before. But it was just really funny to see it happen online. A little bit cringeworthy, but I'm sure we'll all be back, because the contribution they give to the culture is just phenomenal, outstanding, and we can overlook a few technical hitches to support them and the great stuff that they're doing for the culture, for people all around the world, stress that people are going through. And I, for one, I was all for it, and I'm still all for it. So anyway, let's get down to some of the things that I observed. And I'm going to relate this to people. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're in any kind of online business, I'm going to relate it to that, right? Because these guys are businessmen, right? This was, even though it was something they were doing for free, there's definitely a business model in it, right? They had great visibility. Their audience has increased. There were so many things that we can learn from. So the first thing I want to say is that complexity kills, but simple sells. So like Swiss Beats says, right? Less is more. And you're doing too much. I know we've all seen that meme, and we've seen that that mini video he's got on Twitter saying that, because the hits were already there, right? So all you had to do is just launch, just project them, and let it do what it does, right? And that's not what was happening. So Teddy Miley had all these mics and the green screen and a large team, and enough equipment for a sold out stadium. And he didn't need all that. All he needed was to, he just needed to do what Babyface did, right? Because Babyface got it right, showed up in his studio, looking all swaggericious, his swag was on fleek with his iPhones, and deal with and deal with the technology that you're given. You can't control a lot of stuff on it. So my business takeaway there is that let your product speak for itself. If you've got an amazing product like these two guys have, right? Their songs are legendary. So many songs out there that we've all danced to, we've all cried to, we've had heartbreaks to, that bring us back to a certain time and point in time. Their songs are legendary. People appreciate simple solutions that deliver amazing value. So if you have a legendary offer, you have an amazing product, adding unnecessary complexity will actually harm your chances of doing well, success, because the more complexity that you lend to something, the higher the chances of something going wrong. So simple sales, keep it simple, stupid, right? Point number 2, give your audience what they want and not what you think they need. So what do I mean by that, right? So the internet buzz was hot before the event, right? Facebook, they were talking about it. Twitter, they were talking about it. I had friends calling me up and reminded me to log on. The hype was out there. And so it was really easy to find out what people were actually looking for and what their motivations were for coming online, right? What their motivations, they could have been, there's not much that we can do as we're in, but, you could be Netflixing and chilling. You could be cooking. You could have been hanging out on Zoom with your friends. But people were eager to come on. People were highly anticipating this event. Your job is to solve the problems that people have. That's why people give you money, right? So the event was a happy distraction, but did Cat and Riley's camp read between the lines to figure out what people wanted, right? So let me tell you what people wanted. They wanted to take a trip down memory lane, right? They wanted to stir up some nostalgia. They wanted to forget about their COVID worries. They wanted some escapism. And then they wanted the community. They wanted to feel that community. Social distancing has so many people isolated. And thank goodness that we have social media and we can go online. So even though we're socially distanced, right, we can be virtually close. And so people were coming on for the community. The comments on IG Live is what gives people life. They were coming on for all that kind of stuff. So that was important. So you have to understand the motivations. People are looking to, they're looking for that herd, their tribe to hang out with. This was a big culture. Why Swiss Beats and Tim have created this online challenge series, right? And also, the word challenge is really misplaced here, because it's not that kind of typical challenge where you see people beefing. It's really about bringing the culture together, educating, respecting the work of these greats out there, and just having a good time while we're at it, right? So the business takeaway from this is that you don't fill your own wallet if you're a business owner. You have to listen to the heartbeat of the market and find out what they want, and then you provide a solution to the problem that they have. And that's why if you're in business, that people will pay you. So you have to, if you understand the motivation, you're going to really understand what marketing message to put around stuff, and you're going to have a good chance of people consuming your offers and paying for it. This wasn't a paid offer, but it's the same principle lends to this your situation when you're in business. So understand that. Okay, so I want to say this for anybody who launches online offers, courses, coaching programs, all that kind of stuff. I want to say this: beware of the bonuses. So one of the big features of the night was Teddy Riley's Hype Man, Kango wearing Hype Man, who was a really nice bonus that was offered in addition to his songs. But here's the thing: did we really need the Hype Man? Right now, the internet seems to say no, right? Yeah, he brought us back to the 90s with his bop and his wop, and it was full of energy. But from the comments, it was evident that people were not amused, right? Hilarious comments that were asking about him, telling everyone to get rid of him, to get rid of the Hype Man, all that kind of stuff. That the comments were actually hilarious, right? So here's the thing, right? If your product stands by itself, you don't need all these extra bonuses that act as fillers. Just bring the goods. You don't have to do too much, right? So I know the internet's talking about being doers of too much, but we're also guilty of that in our own businesses, right? We try and throw in all these bonuses because we don't have confidence in the main product. I'm not saying that's a situation because these men have paid their dues. I'm just talking in terms of what we do sometimes as online entrepreneurs. We try and do too much and overcompensate. We should just be confident in the product that we're actually launching. Okay, number 4, always do a test run, right? Always do a test run. Live streaming is fast and furious, guys. And look, I'm live streaming now, and whatever happens, happens. All my faux pas, all my stutters, all my incorrect grammar, it's live and direct, right? That's what it's about. We're moving in imperfect action. We understand that things aren't going to be perfect. We understand that, but what we should do is try and mitigate the risk. And so what could they have done to make sure that they, turned up golden? Well, first of all, a private and all that kind of stuff. Just get a private IG account and then invite the participants to that and do a private sound check in your IG account. Go live in the IG account and make sure that everything's working well. Make sure the audio is good. And if there's any problems, you can fix them there. Okay, so the sound check before the event should have been done. Maybe it was done. What do we know, right? We only know what we see. We don't know exactly what went on behind the scenes. So we're just speculating here. Have your partner or whoever you're doing an event with, make sure you've got a different means of contacting them. Text message. Sometimes if they're on the phone, they're not able to receive, they're not able to pay attention. And, sometimes when you're live streaming, right, and people are texting you, or like if you're doing a webinar or something and something's going wrong, you're not able to multitask, read the comments, pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing, receive people's texts. So I understand that people were going crazy in the comments, but it's probably true that he wasn't able to see that, right, at that time. And he relied on other people to make that happen. So, there wasn't, coordination on the time that he was coming on. Like they weren't quite sure about that, if he was there in the beginning. So there was some kerfuffle around that. And then so people were waiting for him to appear, so all of that kind of thing should have been tightened up a little bit more, So what do we know, right? But a better set of problems. Okay. And then number 5, listen to the feedback from your target market. Again, the comments were coming fast and furious, and people were saying, yeah, that sounds awful. Do this, like people were coaching in the comments, especially the celebrities. Tyrese was hilarious. Charlamagne the God was on there. Tamar Braxton, Tony Braxton. A lot of people were saying things in the comments, and the team should have been on point, right? Actually, somebody should have been manning those comments. To make sure everything happens. So someone from the team should be policing the comments and then not talking to Teddy about it, but fixing it. Right? Because he can only do so much when he's performing. And it was like he was trying to, pay attention to too many things. It was taking him off. His demeanor was good. He was trying to keep it together. Such a professional, such a gentleman. All right. So the team should have come together. The team seemed to be kind of all over the place, trying to figure out what was going on, or the best way to resolve it, right, without there seeming to be a big problem. But, this makes the offer sweeter. So here's the thing. We got to hear about 3 songs back and forth, which was amazing. And let me just say something, guys. Even though there was a lot of technical problems going on. I totally enjoyed what we got out of the battle. I enjoyed it, right? I could look past the audio and all those kind of things because I was really there. I mean, I was just grateful that they were doing this. I was really there to enjoy. So when they were dropping tunes, regardless, I was just making, I was making good out of a not so great situation. So I was dancing, I was jamming, I had my groove on, right? But I liked that song or the feelings that they had. And you're going to understand that when you tell stories around your offer, it makes your offer more valuable, right? People buy the story, not the actual thing that you're selling. And so these two guys are master storytellers, and we're talking about amazing things, talking about the Bobby Brown situation when Teddy Riley came out with a certain song for Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown didn't want to go back to Babyface because he was like, you know what, can you top this? The funny thing they were talking about was Babyface didn't really know, how old Riley was when he produced the show. He didn't even know that he produced that. So he was like, were you 12 when you produced? How old were you? How old were you? Those kind of things made it so interesting. If they just played songs straight and said nothing, it wouldn't have been as great as how they delivered the song. So thumbs up on that, guys. If you are in business, understand that you have to tell stories, whether it's in your email sequences, your sales pages, your webinar, your marketing material. Stories sell every time. Number 7, know what your competitor is doing. So it blew my mind that, some of the tunes or the songs that they were dropping, they were oblivious to who had created it. They didn't know. I would have thought that they would know, each song, every song in each other's repertoire, but evidently not. If you're in business, a lot of times people say, oh, I don't focus on what anybody else is doing. I just stay in my lane and just do my thing. Sure, but you should always be aware of what your competitor is doing, not because you're trying to copy them, but so that you understand the gaps that your competitor hasn't filled and you can fill them, right? So you can create a better, irresistible offer. So, I just found it like, okay, well, obviously they're busy, but could they have maybe they did, but the connotation there was like, oh, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that. And I was like, wow, I thought they would have known, right? Okay, number 8, take imperfect action from where you left off. So what happened is, like, when they got 3 songs in and it was getting crazy, they tried to fix some technical issues, and then they decided to come back and restart the battle. And everyone was like, no, don't restart. Here's the thing, right? You can't always go back and fix. Just keep moving forward, taking perfect action. So, these guys are high quality producers, and maybe they're used to getting it right all the time, and they want it to be perfect and they want it to be good. But once the cart is out the horse, you just got to keep going. So it would have been better if they just moved forward with what they had and maybe added 3 more songs on the end. But the impact, right? The impact, the mystery of what songs they were going to come out with had already been released, and had already been made known. So just playing the songs again didn't really have the impact that they had when they first. So it would have been better if they just moved forward and just, keep the show going rather than try and fix what had already happened before. So that was my take on that. And I always say, moving to perfect action. A lot of times in business, things don't go right, and you always try and go on and you need to try and fix things that have already been done. But here's the thing, if you do that, you're often hopping over pennies hopping over pounds to retrieve a penny. Don't do that, right? Or hopping over dimes to retrieve a dollar. Don't do that. Keep moving from where you are, right? You'll probably regain or get more ROI in trying to move on to charters new than trying to fix what's already been done. All right, I think that was what was that? I might miscount here, guys. So that was number 8. I think this is number 9. Understand the technical setup, right? So you got to understand the technical setup. And, you would think that his team would, and maybe they did, but I feel that they needed like a Gen Z or a young millennial there who were born into technology, rather than us grown folk who had technology thrust upon us. So, and that was a joke that was made on social media that they did. And Charlemagne the God came out with a hilarious meme. I saw it on his IG with some old guys there at computers, squinting at computers and saying that was a technical team. That looked like Riley's technical team, right? So you got to have a good team around you, and you have to have a team that knows how things work, right? when I say know how things work, like intimately, this happens in your online business. A lot of times you're trying to cut costs, you're trying to skip things, or you try and self-service yourself. But here's the thing, if that's not your zone of genius, don't do that. Get somebody on your team who knows how your tool or tools work, have in-depth knowledge, understand how to troubleshoot on the fly. Many times, if you're doing a webinar or something like that, I see people fumbling and trying to figure out, if they're on Zoom, trying to figure out all the Zoom controls. But if you're presenting, you're not going to be able to do that, right? The stress and the tension is already there when you're presenting. So expecting someone to multitask and figure that out is not going to work. So in your online business, make sure that you understand the technical setup. And if you don't, delegate it to somebody that does. And make sure you understand how all the switches work, right? How all the controls work and all the nuances that are going to make you come out golden, all right? Again, Babyface kept it simple. Earphones, iPhone, playlist, boom, let's rock. So he didn't really have a lot of variables to trip him up, which is the best way. Sure, when they're in the studio, they have lots of complicated equipment and their setup is, crazy, but this wasn't the time to do it. Okay, so number 10 is understand when to repurpose your content. So I saw something online that explained why Riley had all of this equipment around him, because maybe he was trying to repurpose that event and repurpose that recording for maybe his website or for some other content that he wanted to put out there. And so he probably needed all that equipment for that other project. But here's the thing. You have to understand that not all content on a particular platform is good for content on another platform. And, I say this to people all the time. If you're on Instagram, you're shooting that way, right? So you're shooting that way. If you're on YouTube, you're shooting that way, right? And so sometimes you're going to try and get a 2-for-1, but the platform that you're on has a particular paradigm that it requires you to make content in a certain way, right? So YouTube is more long form content. Instagram, IG Live is short form content. LinkedIn has a certain limit on your content, right? So sometimes it's not always a good idea to try and record once and use it everywhere. You have to understand the culture and the etiquette of the platform that you're on. And trying to multitask like that can lead to you having technical hitches that don't even allow you to get the content that you wanted in the first place. So, it seemed to be a problem yesterday. Who knows? Okay. Takeaway number 11. Bad audio is always unforgivable. Always unforgivable. You can get away with bad video. You can get away with bad hair, right? You can get away with bad, you can get away with bad graphics, but all bad audio is a problem and people will always complain about it. So Teddy Riley's audio echoed, right? It sounded like a shipwreck survivor shouting out in a cave, "Are you there? Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?" And people in the comments, Babyface, his sound seemed to be crystal clear to me. I could hear it. It was loud. There was no echo. Someone said in the comments, it sounds like Babyface is playing in my bedroom. I had to laugh at that. And then Babyface had to continue to ask Teddy, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" Had to keep repeating stuff. And then Teddy couldn't hear him on the audio. And so once the audio, like other things could have gone wrong and we could have cruised through it. But once the audio was jacked up, Tyrese was complaining, telling me we're going to have hours like this. The crowd was not forgiving, right? So again, bad audio, especially when you're creating your webinars, you're creating live stream content, all that kind of stuff, your online challenges, whatever it is where you're using video, and you should be using video, right, in your online business. If you want to grow, if you want to scale, if you want to stand out, if you want to dominate, you are using video, right? Make sure that the audio is amazing. I have lots of clients who are not confident on camera and trying to make sure they've got the best set, that they've got the best brand, they've got the best look, and they neglect their audio. And that's the most important thing. If people can't hear you, they are going to be put off. Okay, so that was number 11, I think. So another thing I want to say is, if you haven't tested your product, and I see this a lot online, I'm not going to say it doesn't always lend totally to the situation that we had yesterday. But if you haven't tested your product and you're not sure of its transformation, you can't charge full whack. All right, you have to go through that first. So there was some talk that Riley wanted to be paid because, you know, he didn't want IG to get all the money, he wanted to be paid, which is fine, right? Because I believe artists should be paid, should be compensated well. But imagine if they were paid for that event. All right, there would have been an uproar. There would have been refunds aplenty because it didn't work out. So you got to make sure in your business that when you're launching something, whether you've got a new course, if you've got a new coaching program, you've beated it sufficiently, you've tested it sufficiently to make sure that it has the transformation that you promise, and then you can charge what you want. But until then, there's a gray area where people, if you do charge and it doesn't deliver, people are not going to be happy with you. You're going to have a lot of refunds. You're going to have a lot of arguments. And it's also going to ding your brand because you're not able to bring the goods. So make sure that before you do charge, that you can bring the transformation that you say you can. All right? Okay. So was that 12 or 13? No, I might be off on accounting, right? So look, but imperfect action, here we go. Okay, the 13th thing I'm going to say, right, is the 13th takeaway is that you have to learn how to react under pressure when things aren't going right. And let me just say something. Regardless of the fiasco yesterday, I think Teddy Riley handled it well. He was calm to a certain extent. Babyface was just super calm. He was ice cube calm and cool, right? But considering the amount of stress and pressure that Riley was under, he was gracious, he was courteous to these people. He weren't cursing, he weren't going off, he wasn't shouting at anybody. You know, you could just really see that he's a man of his craft, right? I'm sure he's been in stranger predicaments before, but he really knew how to carry himself. It was probably a new experience for him because, oh God, is not the same as having your full sound check or your sound engineers, right? It's different. And so he kept his cool. There was a time when he was talking to his team and saying, kind of get it under control. You could see he was a little bit irked, but he kept it in control. And I thought that was amazing. Now, Babyface, he was calm. I think a lot of times he was just waiting. He was scrolling on his phone, right? But in all fairness, right, it was hosted on Teddy Riley's IG. So a lot of the stress was on him because all Babyface had to do was request access. And then, you know, if you don't know how Instagram live streaming happens, you can live stream and then somebody else can join you. You get a split screen, request access, they'll get a split screen and you will be live streaming and they will be brought into your live stream, but you are in control of the live stream. Somebody has to join your live stream. So Riley had all the technical burden on his side. Okay, so in all fairness, everyone say, well, it weren't Babyface was good, right? But remember, right, the burden was on Riley's side, right? So it's not fair because they had different responsibilities and, you know, things can easily go wrong. So when you're under pressure, learn how to keep cool. You know, I've had clients that have gone through launches, something goes wrong. Let me give you a story. I had a client that she wasn't a client. She was somebody, she came into a group that I'm in and her sales page wasn't working. When people were trying to go to the car, it was redirecting somewhere. She was frantic. She was about to pass out. She had a lot of money on the line. She wasn't calm, right? And it just led to so much stress. And I was able to come in and fix that situation for her really quickly. And I found it within 30 seconds what the problem was. But because she was panicking, she wasn't able to get breakthrough. So even when things are really heavy, when things are tense, you got to keep your cool, guys, right? Got to keep your cool. Otherwise, you make it 10 times worse. All right. So what else have we got, guys? I think that was number 13. And so I talked about between your product. Okay, so I want to say this, right? Number 14, your competitor is always ready to snatch those coins that you leave on the table. So after about an hour, they decided that they were going to do they were going to cancel and they were going to do it at another time. Babyface came on, Teddy Riley came on, and they said it wasn't fair to keep doing this when things were not technically sound, and they'll do it another date. And now we know that that date is going to be on Monday, right? I'm looking forward to it. I'm just so excited. It's going to be on Monday. I'm so glad that they didn't call it off, that they actually pushed through to deliver to the fans. That's really amazing. It just shows how great those legends are. But here's the thing. D Nice was able to carry on with Club Quarantine over on his IG and was playing some of their hits, right? So when you drop the ball, your competitor's always there, right, to catch it. So beware, guys. Don't drop the ball, all right? Don't drop the ball, and make sure that if you do drop it, you've got a contingency plan so your competitor can't swoop in. So I'm not saying D Nice was a competitor. I'm just using that paradigm and that analogy to highlight that what often happens in business. If you're lacking, your competitor is always going to want to close the gap and try and, take over your audience. So don't let that happen. All right. Now, number 15 I want to talk about is you need to go beyond the ego and embarrassment. So I love the way that these guys afterwards came on to IG and, they owned it and they said that they were going to reschedule, right? You can't have ego, you can't let embarrassment stop you from being vulnerable and doing what you have to do in business. Problems happen all the time, right? Who doesn't? There's always a roadblock that's going to come up in business. We always have to consistently persevere. But if you think that we're going to sail through business and it's a bed of roses, it doesn't work like that. So the worst thing you can do is have an ego attached to something or cringe with embarrassment and everyone saying, oh, it was so embarrassing. Oh, listen, right? Why is everyone acting brand new, right? How many people have gone flawlessly throughout business without one mishap, without one problem coming up? Embarrassments come all the time, right? But as long as we're vulnerable, authentic, and transparent about it, right, you can live to see another day. It's not a problem. It's not, probably got more followers. Right, the younger kids now know who he is. Right? The younger kids are going to go out and buy their music because it's timeless. A lot of the younger kids are going to actually know where all those breaks that they think are brand new actually come from now, right? Especially like my daughter's like, wow, I didn't know he sung this. I'm like, this was before you were born, right? So actually, this is not a bad thing. It's listen, bad news spreads fast, but you can always finesse that debacle to turn it into something good for your business. It's not a problem, right? The publicity is out there, more likes, more follows, that everybody's talking about it. So everybody wants to jump on and find out what happened. And that means they're going to have a bigger audience when they come back the second time and bring the goods. Shrink away with embarrassment, like a lot of people say, because of the people that are talking about that, listen, they've probably, right, experienced bigger problems in their business on, when you look at it in relation to the size of their business. So it's not a problem, right? It's just, how many times have you seen somebody fall on the stage? How many times have you seen like Miss World or something like that trip over? They get up and they keep it moving. And that's what you need to do in your business as well, okay? So that was number 16 maybe. So number 17, haters going to hate, right? So here's the thing. The memeologists were just, it's almost like they were willing this to fail. They were just so happy. Like, could you just imagine that evil cackle they had when this went wrong? Because the memes and the GIFs emerged almost instantly, right? Even if the event was amazing, memes would have come out of it, right? So the culture is always going to criticize, right? And I don't always feel it's in a mean spirit or a bad way. It may sometimes feel a little bit out of pocket, but Twitter is always going to be Twitter, right? People are always going to talk, but you should never let that hurt your hustle. I love that. They're coming back on Monday. They did not let the criticism hurt their hustle, and either should you. Critics love to roast, so let them roast. It's their love language. That's what they do, right? So cue all the memes, right? Look at the comments on the Facebook Live. All those celebrities that were saying things, right? How many of them have performed and had something gone wrong, right? Let he is without sin cast the first stone. They've all had mishaps. They've all had technical problems. I've seen so many people perform where something's gone wrong. So, hey, just take it with a pinch of salt, and you need to take that with a pinch of salt in your business. How many times have you gone on a webinar, your webinar hasn't worked? How many times have your email sequences not gone out? How many people have had their Facebook account shut down? How many people have tried to, fire up their site and to see that, oh, they forgot to pay the bill and it was suspended? There's so many things that can go wrong in business. How many times have you had a business partner or a JV partner that didn't do what they said they were going to do and left you stranded? How many times have your live stream or your Zoom frozen when you were doing an interview or recording something and you get that intermittent, your signal is weak, that sign that you get up and it's really, you're really in a good part of the interview where you're asking some important questions and it messes it up. And people, how many times have you had people say mean things to you on your Facebook ads or in comments, right? People criticize you in groups when you're trying to give value. It doesn't matter, guys, right? Just keep it moving. Haters are going to hate, but entrepreneurs are going to make that money regardless, right? Right? Shooters are always going to shoot their shot and they're going to win. So don't worry about that. Okay. So here's the thing. I want to say number, I think that was, I can't remember, 16, 17, or number 18. Let's make this number 18. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from achieving something great. And that's why I just want to give those two men a round of applause. Listen, what they did was a gift to the culture. Absolutely amazing. So imagine if the fear of doing something wrong or fear of something going wrong stopped them from actually putting something like this out there. Imagine, right? Imagine what we would lose out on. Many of you, because you're scared of failure, because you think that your stuff isn't perfect, because you're worried about what people are going to say, you rob your audience from the genius and expertise that you can put out there. You don't serve because you're scared, right? A lot of people during this pandemic, this global pandemic, are scared to serve and sell because they don't know what people are going to say. A lot of people have guilt around selling. They feel that, it's in poor taste when people are struggling. So many people are unemployed, but the very thing that they have can bring somebody breakthrough and help them. And there are people that are buying, but instead they retreat into their shell, and the fear of failure or the fear of criticism stops them from actually serving and bringing value and transformation to the market, which is a shame. So these guys didn't do that, and either should you. Remember, what they gave us was a gift, right? Their craft, their expertise, their excellence, their genius is a gift, right? They're musical magicians, and their gift has touched the world, right? I don't think if you've ever been in a dance floor in the last 4 decades that you haven't danced to Teddy Riley or Babyface production, song that they've written, anything that they've contributed to. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't, whether it's been on the advert, where it's been a banger that's been in the top hits. Even if you're not an R&B aficionado, it doesn't matter, right? From Michael Jackson to Madonna, pop hits, they've had a hand in them all, right? If you've nodded your head to something, if something's uplifted, just a very big chance. Right? Oh, Babyface had a hand in, right? There's so many songs that I didn't know that they had a hand in. If they kept that from us, because things weren't perfect. I remember when I watched a Teddy Riley interview in a Breakfast Club, and he said that when they filmed the Guy, when they recorded the Guy album, I think that he said that they were in a bathroom, right? And they had, they were trying to get the acoustics going and everything. Imagine if they let the fear of failure or perfection stop them from doing the best that they could do, right? And so make sure that you take that, you use that business lesson, and you take that business lesson and understand that you have to be fearless, even in the face of adversity. Otherwise, you're not going to make it in your business. Don't worry about what people say. It's easy for people to be couch spectators, right? Cheering you on and telling you what you should or shouldn't do. But very few people take action to have some skin in the game and actually get a result. So give yourself a pat on the back for actually being a contender. All right. That's it. I think that's it. So that was probably number 18, right? Oh, let me just say this. Should be number 19. Let me just say this to you guys. So a lot of people say, oh my gosh, you want to come back the next day? We're busy. You know what I mean? Oh, you messed us up. I got all dressed up for this. And I thought, you guys messed us up. We're not coming back. What a waste of time. Listen, don't worry. They'll be back. Okay? You cannot beat somebody off with a bat from consuming a great offer that transforms them. So nobody's got anything to do. We're all in lockdown. I guarantee you tomorrow, they're going to have more than 450,000 live viewers. Guarantee you that, right? They're going to come back bigger and better. And that just goes to show that anytime something goes wrong in your business, technical, whether your launch flops, maybe you don't make the money that you wanted to make, maybe your offer tanked, whatever it is, right? Maybe your technology flops. Technology flops all the time. If you run funnels, there's always something that goes wrong in technology. Maybe you use Kajabi as your online course system and, something didn't work out. You forgot to tick a checkbox somewhere and the functionality just went haywire. Maybe you use ActiveCampaign as your email automation and you made an email sequence active when you actually hadn't updated a templated copy. And then, your whole email list gets that templated copy and you're really embarrassed. Guys, persevere, keep going. You will come back the next time better than the last time. We all learn from our business mistakes. The people that don't learn from their business mistakes are the people who take to heart and retreat from embarrassment and don't come back to, try again the next day. Don't be that person. So for me, I definitely will be on that IG battle, Teddy Riley versus Babyface. My money is on Teddy Riley. I'm a big I'm a Babyface fan as well, but I'm a big Teddy Riley fan. Some of it, some of the hits that he has is take me back to so many different things that I was doing and going through in the 90s, find them very inspirational. I like his demeanor. I like the way that he carries himself. Love the way that Babyface carries himself. You wouldn't believe that these guys are 53 and 62. Timeless legends. And that's the last takeaway I want to give you. If you want a long-term business, guys, if you don't want to be a one-hit wonder, these guys are timeless legends that have been going on forever and ever, right? The contribution that they've made to the planet is unmatched with so many people. Listen, arguably, right? The best producers, right, to walk the face of this earth, arguably, right? So if you want to have a long-term successful career, whether you're a coach, whether you're a course creator, whether you're an e-commerce provider, whether you're an author, a speaker, a motivational speaker, a trainer, whatever you do, right? Whatever, if you're an influencer, if you're an expert, whether you're in the beauty business, whatever it is that you do online, right, to bring people transformation, you have to make sure that you sow into your business so that you have a long-term, sustainable, profitable business. Many people come into online business and they think it's a get-rich-quick thing and that they'll make money in overnight or in a few weeks, and then it's juices and they can stand back and just reap the rewards of not doing much. It doesn't work like that, right? You got to sow the seed and you got to stay with the game. You got to be consistent. You got to have focus. You have to have consistency. You have to have discipline. And you have to have the confidence to keep going, even when the critics and the haters roast you. Keep going. And the reward of that, the reward of those that are persistent and consistent is always profit. So that was 19 or so business lessons. Offline, if you're somebody who's offline trying to come online, but I say online specifically because this was an online business model that happened last night. This was an online event, and there's so many different online events that you can do as an entrepreneur. You can do live webinars, you can do live workshops, you can do online challenges, you can do online summits, you can do paid online courses, so many different events. You can do live streams, you can do so many different ways to get visibility, to market, create, market, and sell your products, right? Online. If you're in an online business, we've been doing IG live for days, right? We've been using it as a platform to broadcast. Now is the easiest time. Now is the easiest time in the history, right, of the world, right, to make money online. The gatekeepers have been removed. There's no middleman anymore. You can advertise and you can build an audience by yourself. As long as you're on social media, you can build that audience. You can accrue people's email addresses and build and put them on your own email list so that you're not dependent on being online, because that can happen at any time. And I'm hoping that's something that these guys are doing, right? Building their list, building their following, right? Instagram can delete you at any time. Facebook can delete you at any time, right? They can stop you from streaming. They can mute your live streams. They can do things like that. But if you build your own list, build your own list and take them onto your own platform, which is your email list, you'll always have a chance to come back and market to them again. And that's how you start to increase your revenue scale. Always be in the business of building an amazing audience and serving them with amazing transformational value that's going to give you a win-win situation. Your ideal client will be happy and you'll be happy. The last thing I want to say before I go is never be scared to give free value. So that was a free challenge, right? That Swiss Beats and Timberland, they've created this series to give joy, right, to the world that's suffering and struggling during COVID and this global pandemic where most of us are locked in and we can't go anywhere. So that was such an amazing thing that they did. And these different artists that they're curating and pairing up are so gracious. And I'm so grateful to them that they're actually spreading their gift freely with the world, right? So a lot of times people want to be paid up front, but here's the thing. When you give, you always get back exponentially, right? So you give a little, you get back a lot. So many different ways this can be monetized without getting money up front. And you have to understand that in your business, you should be able to give away some free value, right? Good content never goes out void. It comes back in this form, or it comes back deferred sometimes, but always comes back either through cash, connections, clout, credibility, contracts. Something's going to happen. So if you see with D Nice, he's been doing these club quarantine sets every day. And, he's got merch that's selling. People send him donations. Often, if you have a way to send donations when you're doing something free, you're going to find that people are more generous than when you ask them to give you something. So, the amount of people that joined, right, a donation. Imagine if everybody donated $1, right? If that live stream was up and popping, right? That's like, imagine if they had 1 million people coming in and out, right? That's $1 million, right? Imagine the merch that can be sold. Imagine the sales that are going to come down the line of people going back into their catalog or going into iTunes and buying stuff, right? Imagine the deals, the business opportunities that can come out of it. And that same thing applies to you. When you put out great content, it might not be evident straight away when you put stuff out, but it always returns back, right? In one of the, the 5 C's: content, cash, credibility, clout, contracts. Something's going to come back, right? So we were graced with amazing content yesterday. That was cut short. Regardless, I had an amazing time. I was jamming, I was bopping, I was locking to those tunes in what I call Club Homebound in my bedroom dance floor of Club Homebound. And tomorrow I'll be back at it, supporting, cheering, reading the comments and cracking up, but just having an amazing time and making the best of this lock-in that has got us all having to pivot and reevaluate what we're doing in business to make sure that we survive. And I'm here to make sure that you survive too. So my name is Caroline Onyedema, the Experts Business Strategist. I help entrepreneurs just like you create, market, and sell profitable online courses, coaching programs, live workshops, any business model that allows you to be leveraged. And when I say leveraged, it means that you are able to stop trading time for dollars, okay, and teach one to many or sell one to many so that you achieve financial freedom without the typical stress that comes from doing too much. And, one thing that we've learned from that battle yesterday, that it's not good to be a doer of too much. So if you need to contact me, my information will be below this live stream. Tomorrow, it's going to be great. You can follow me on Instagram. Just go to Ideal Clients Daily and you can find me there. Visit my website at idealclientsdaily.com. But subscribe. I'll be giving more tips, strategies, and marketing ideas for you to build your own online business that gives you financial freedom. Okay, bye-bye for now.